All right, let's dive right in. We're going to explore this really profound idea today. This idea of a single hidden pattern that might just connect, well, everything. So, let's just start with this huge question. Is it even possible? Could there be one single pattern that connects something as simple as a rock, something as abstract as a thought, and something as complex as an AI? I know, it sounds pretty out there, but you gotta stick with me on this one. And look, this idea that everything shares some deep structure, it's not just some philosophical hunch. We're going to dig into a real, universal pattern that seems to pop up over and over again across totally different scales and domains. Okay, so here it is. This is the core pattern, and it has 3 steps. First, you've got what's called a bound field of potential. Just think of it as a limited space of possibilities. Then, within that space, you get a distribution of possible roles, all the different things that could happen. And finally, one specific thing does happen through the selection of the most probable realization. Now, the key thing to get here is that this isn't just a nice metaphor. The argument is that this is a structural pattern that really, truly repeats.
I know. That sounds super abstract, right? A bound field of potential. What does that even mean? So let's make this real. We're going to use a simple example to see exactly how this process turns pure possibility into the concrete stuff we see every day.
The source material uses this brilliant, super simple analogy. You've got the ground and the roll. The ground is the thing itself, right? Like a rock. That rock is a bounded field of everything it could be. The roll is the function we actually pick for it, like, say, using it as a hammer. And here's the kicker. The rock itself didn't change at all, not physically. The only thing that changed was the function we selected for it in that moment.
And this really forces a huge shift in how you think about things. Reality isn't just a static collection of objects with fixed labels. No, it's this dynamic, ongoing process of assigning roles and functions based on the context, on what's needed, and on what's most probable.
And what's so cool is you can actually visualize this. A rock isn't just a rock. It's really a distribution of all its probable functions. So if that rock is sitting in an office, it's got what, maybe a 60% chance of being used as a paperweight? But take that same exact rock to a campsite. Suddenly, its probability of being a tool, maybe to hammer in a tent stake, just skyrockets. The object is identical. It's the context, and therefore the probabilities, that have completely shifted.
Okay, so we've got the basic idea down, right? Potential, roles, selection. Now let's see how this thing scales, because you are about to see just how widespread this pattern is. I mean, it shows up in places you would absolutely never expect.
And this idea, it's not even new. It echoes way back through history. The source connects it all the way back to Plato's ideal forms. But here's the twist. Instead of thinking about some perfect, static triangle in a museum of ideas, think of it as a space of triangularity. It's a field of potential, where all kinds of triangles can be brought into reality. It's a solution space, not a dusty old museum.
Okay, now let's rocket forward to today, to the absolute cutting edge, modern AI. And AI's latent space, it works in exactly the same way. It's this massive, multi-dimensional map of ideas and relationships. All of meaning exists in there as structured potential, as a field of possibilities, long before the AI ever generates a single word or a single image. And this is where it all clicks. You see the pattern's recurrence so clearly. In physics, you have a quantum state, the bounded field, that collapses from a probability spread. In biology, you've got genetic variation, and natural selection picks from that field of possibilities. And in AI, an algorithm looks at token probabilities and selects the next word. It is the exact same 3-step dance playing out over and over again in completely different domains.
All right, so a huge part of this pattern is the bounded field. But wait a second, that feels a little backwards, doesn't it? Why would constraints and limits be so critical for creating something new?
And here is the beautiful twist. The source argues that boundaries don't actually limit possibility. They make possibility navigable. They're what give the field of potential its shape, its structure, so you can actually move around in it. Without any constraints, all you have is pure, useless chaos.
Let's just walk through that logic, step by step, because it's so important. It all starts with boundaries. Those boundaries create structure. That structure then creates what are called probability gradients. Basically, it makes some outcomes way more likely than others. And it's only because you have those gradients that you can have a meaningful selection, which allows a clear function to emerge. And you see this principle literally everywhere you look. A cell membrane?
That's the boundary that allows all the chemistry of life to happen. Your skull, it's the bounded field for your consciousness. The rules of grammar, they create the structured field for language. Even the physical laws of the universe bound cosmic evolution. In every single case, the constraint is what makes the function possible in the first place.
Okay, so let's bring this all home, because when we turn this universal pattern back on ourselves, it gives us this incredibly profound new way to understand what our intelligence actually is.
So the source gives us this powerful reframing. Intelligence isn't about memorizing facts or just following a set of rules like a computer. No, it's the dynamic, active skill of navigating a constrained space of possibilities to land on a stable, useful outcome.
So what about creativity? Doesn't that just break all the rules? Well, the argument is not at all. Instead of violating probability, creativity is what happens when we skillfully explore the low probability parts of that possibility field. It's not random chaos. It's a controlled, purposeful journey into the road less traveled to find something new and valuable.
And this pattern applies directly to you. Think about it. Your identity isn't some fixed, static thing. It's actually a probability distribution of all your potential roles. The context you're in selects the role that's most probable in that moment. One minute you're a father, the next a researcher, then a neighbor, then a thinker. You are a living, breathing field of potential.
So if there's one single idea to take away from all of this, it's this complete reframing of reality itself. The world isn't made of things. It's made of potential, constantly becoming function.
And that leaves us with one last big question for you. If the entire universe is a field of possibilities, and if intelligence is the art of navigating that field and selecting well, then how will you choose? What will you choose to make real?